Being a more aware individual comes with a price. You start asking questions most people never slow down to consider, and the answers you receive rarely satisfy. It doesn't take a genius to see that suffering seems woven into the human experience, individually and collectively. Eventually, it leaves you asking the same question everyone asks at least once: why? For many, all the frustration, fear, anger, anxiety, and confusion they feel traces back to that one question, a question that seems like it never receives a real answer. You might think the why lies in shadow cabals, in geopolitical agendas, cultural conflicts, racial divisions, religious extremism, greed, ego, or corruption. And while parts of that may be true, they are not the whole truth. Because the design of the human experience at this collective stage is to suffer. It's a foundational aspect of what we came here to experience. Why? Because of something called negative development. Negative development is the universe's energetic amplification of the individual and collective repressed shadow as the means of stimulating growth for integration and eventual positive collective polarization. It's a brutal teacher, but an effective one. Keep in mind, to the infinite there is no time. This process will take as long as necessary. Most people don't get the ideal life. Perfect upbringing, perfect relationships, career, and stability. Instead, life delivers struggle, sometimes in one area, sometimes in many at once. Expand that outward and you'll see. It's the same on historical, political, and societal levels. Same suffering, same lessons. Why couldn't I have had better parents? Why can't I just have a job I enjoy? Why can't politicians act with integrity? Why does voting always feel like choosing the lesser of two evils? To answer this, I'll turn to a classic movie, Scarface.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say that's the bad guy.
What if Tony Montana was right? What if we need the bad guy to focus on so we don't address the real point? In our families, in our governments, across the world and across history. Now, who is the bad guy to you? And what if we chose them to be just that? Or more accurately, what if our collective unconscious did? Because our collective consciousness is still in the shadow phase, the stage of development where we learn what free will actually is. Free will is conscious choice rooted in full understanding of both light and dark. And the dark must be fully expressed at a collective level in order for the future world to become something different. The path of ego, trauma, greed, and control must run its course through the unconscious psyche. And this era, this moment in time, is the stage of understanding. Growth is not linear. It rises and falls. It lifts you and breaks you. We are forged through fire. The key is to stop obsessing over the surface-level actions, yours or anyone else's, and begin asking, what is the energy behind the action? What is this experience trying to teach? What is humanity being shown right now? This is how we operate at a higher level of consciousness, because as Einstein says, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that created them. Throughout history, certain figures have acted as agents of the shadow, not to be celebrated, but not to be negatively fixated on either. Even when they commit acts of evil, their role still fits into a larger design. The purpose of negative development is to help us see beyond the simplistic idea of good versus evil. Everything exists as part of a unified whole, yin and yang, creator and destroyer, shadow and light. To the infinite, all is one. Polarity is a projection from our finite point of view. These shadow agents have been permitted influence, because humanity needed to confront the deepest parts of its own subconscious. We needed this activation of the shadow to step into a higher form of awareness. Sometimes, God first has to show you what you are not in order for you to learn who you really are. The universe teaches more through contrast than comfort. People grow far more from pain than from perfection. The perfect life is not the norm, and honestly, it was never meant to be. Because the belief that life should be perfect is exactly what must die for you to grow. Metaphorically, the devil must exist for humanity to understand the divinity of God. Negative experiences create the contrast that allows gratitude, wisdom, compassion, and joy to exist. You cannot truly appreciate happiness if you've never suffered. Your suffering is not proof of who you are. It is a signal that what you feel is not your true nature. If depression, anxiety, loneliness, frustration, or guilt were actually you, they wouldn't feel so painful. They would simply feel good. But they feel exhausting, terrifying, heavy, draining, because the universe is nudging you, inviting you to use the law of negative development. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Why can't I change? Ask, what is this experience teaching me about myself? This shift takes you from disempowered victim to empowered creator. Humans are conditioned to assign arbitrary value to what their life should look like, from parents, schools, society, culture, peers, partners, but those expectations are illusions. And holding on to the belief that this shouldn't be happening is one of the most stagnating beliefs you can carry. Because someone, somewhere, has lived a worse version of your experience and still transform for the better. So ask yourself, does this belief serve me? Has thinking this way ever inspired real change? Because life isn't about what happens to you. It's about how you respond to it. But here's the barrier: your ego. Your ego is stubborn, defensive, and addicted to your current identity, even when that identity hurts you. Your desire to grow must become stronger than your desire to stay the same. But growth requires death, the death of old versions of yourself. And like any addiction, the ego resists withdrawal. It will replay every painful memory, every insecurity, every shameful moment, every hurt, because it has been feeding on that emotional energy for years. Redefining yourself means going through the withdrawal symptoms of your own identity. And just like substance addiction, all forms of human dysfunction share the same underlying mechanism, different surface, same root. During this death process, the mind will desperately try to justify the current version of you. But justification is infinite. Anything can be justified based on the perspective. For example, one could say, I saw my dad hit my mom. That's why I hit my wife. Or, I saw my dad hit my mom. That's why I'll never hit my wife. Same experience. Two different outcomes. You can be the victim, and your dad can be the reason you continue a generational trauma, or the reason you break one. What person will you be?